This is the Sennheiser EPOS GSX1000, a sound card that I made a video about some time ago. And I really like this external sound card. I would still recommend it to this day. And so, when I got my hands on its bigger brother, the GSX1000, my expectations were really high. Well, would it live up to those expectations? Well, there's only one way to find out, and it's for you to watch this video. Well, hello there everyone, and welcome to a new video over here on Anton's Hardware channel. Now today we're going to talk about this one. It's the Sennheiser EPOS GSX1000, and it's an external USB powered sound card. This sound card is primarily designed for gaming. It's equipped with Sennheiser's own 7.1 binaural rendering engine. It offers exceptional immersion and has an easy output switch. So what does that mean? But before we get into that, I need to tell you about the bigger brother, the GSX1200. But that one is hardware-wise exactly the same as the GSX1000. It will cost 20 euros more and has only one additional feature, and that is that it has a chat-link cable allowing it to be directly connected to other GSX1200 devices. But let's take a closer look at those specifications. Now, as always, I want to find out what makes the device tick. I mean, what makes it working? What kind of hardware is used? What kind of DSP? Which kind of digital to analog converter? I mean, that will tell you a lot about the quality of the device. But it was rather hard to getting into the device without breaking it. So I resorted to finding out on the internet to find out what's inside. It uses Conextant CX20833 for the digital signal processor and a CX20745 as the digital add-to-analog converter, AMP, analog to digital converter. Now the digital signal processor, or DSP, is, as the datasheet says, a high-performance digital audio processor that provides DTS or Dolby turnkey headphone solution and allows users to simulate a highly realistic 5.1, 7.1 surround sound listening environment from stereo transducer headphones. Now sadly, the support for DTS and Dolby isn't present in the device itself. Probably because there were some royalties not paid, or there aren't that many games that even support it. The DSP is capable of 192 kHz and 24 bits, which is excellent. Also, Sennheiser mentioned earlier that it has its own 7.1 binaural rendering engine. Well, that's not quite true, because the datasheet says the following. The CX20833 also features a suite of innovative, Conextant, proprietary turnkey audio and voice processing algorithms. Difficult word. So the rendering engine is nothing more than an algorithm being used, but that's not an issue, because every other 2.1 to 5.1 or 7.1 surround solution uses an algorithm. It cannot work any other way. So, is that an issue? Well, let's find out during the listening sessions. But first, let's head over to more information. The CX20745 serves as the system's codec, or a digital to analog converter, AMP, and a digital to analog converter all in one. It uses a Class D amplifier, also something new because most USB sound cards use a Class AB amp. This codec is capable of rendering at 24 bits and 96 kHz. Now, even though the DSP is capable of handling higher rates, the digital to analog converter isn't. So what else is inside of this little box? Well, that's pretty much it. There are two audio chips in there, as I mentioned before. There's a little microcontroller in there to make the display work, and there's a USB controller, and that's about it. No op amps or whatever, no amplifiers or other interesting stuff. This is it. So, as I said before, there's a little display going on, but how does it work? Well, let's head over to the driver interface for that information. Now normally I insert a video here where I show you all the buttons and all the settings that you can change in a driver interface. But sadly there is no driver interface. There is some software that you can install, at least it is provided to you on the website of Sennheiser. But when you install the drivers or this piece of software, it isn't recognized the GSX1000. It's just nothing. Now, just to find out if it was just me or maybe the device that's faulty, I plugged in the GSX300 and that one was recognized immediately. So, I read somewhere else that there was no driver interface needed because all the information that you need is on the device itself. Now, let's take a closer look at that. But before we go there, I need to say, well, that's not entirely true. Because if you want to change the sound to 2.0 HD to 7.1 and back again, you need to go into Windows driver settings and everything. And it's a really, well, difficult process. It would be a lot easier if they had just a tiny little driver interface where you could swap that easily around. And so this is the device in all its working glory. Now, you may not see that much, but it is working. Because if you move your hand within, well, a couple of centimeters, it will just turn on. Now, let me go through all the options you have here. On the top left here, you can see the output for the device. It's now set at the headset. Now it's just at the line out. Here you have an equalizer with 3 presets. Now it's set to movie, none, gaming and music. Now because we're running in 7.1 mode, you can select if you want to hear the music from the front, neutral or more from the rear. Here you can set the 7.1 or 2.0 mode. This is the side tone. Now it's normal, very loud, and now it's off. You can also have another reverb added. Now something that I wouldn't understand and wouldn't recommend using, but still there are people who want to have it. Now it's at normal, now it's the max level, and now it's turned off. Let's head over to the 2.0 HD mode. And now it's set in the 2.0 HD mode, as you can see here. And there's a large volume knob, which is quite big, and I do love to use it. On the side here, you also have a little volume button for the talking, to set it louder and softer. The results Rightmark gave aren't that impressive, even with the old standard. They were okay in 2.0 HD mode, and it's about the same as with most external sound cards. But in regular 2.0 mode, it got worse, whereas the 7.1 mode, well, it was horrible. When only looking at the 2.0 HD mode, the frequency response was very good, but overall the rating Rightmark gave is an average. Not an impressive, but adequate. Interestingly, on the website it says that it will do 0 to 48 kHz. But my graph shows a definite drop off just past 20 kHz. So that's a claim that's not true. So I started off in 2.0 HD mode. Now why did I do that? Well, that was the setting it was already on, and I didn't feel like fiddling around and changing it back to 7.1 and whatever. So 2.0 mode, and I started listening, and I was, well, not impressed, but I must say it was mediocre. It was like any other external sound card with 24 bits and 96 kHz. The basses were there, they were a bit underpowered, the highs were a bit sharpish, but it wasn't all that it was so annoying that I quitted my listening session. In fact, in about an hour, 2 hours later, I was still listening to the device itself because, well, it didn't annoy me, and it was okay. I mean, it wasn't bad. The soundstage, I mean, how the stereo picture looks was, well, mediocre. I did think it could do a lot better than it did, but still, it was, well, mediocre. So what about the 7.1 surround mode? Well, I wasn't that impressed by the sound quality of the 7.1 Air surround mode. I was impressed by the surround mode being able to, well, create a sort of simulated 3D environment. It was one of the better implementations that I've heard so far. But when you listen to the sound, you could definitely hear it was just 16 bits, and that was sort of a letdown. Yeah, letdown. Now, of course, I also wanted to find out how good the gaming mode was, the 7.1 gaming mode, so I fired up Escape from Tarkov just to find out how good it works. And I must say that I was, well, more impressed than with the music listening session. Listening session. You could identify where the enemy was walking or whatever. You couldn't pinpoint it as good as you would like to have, but still you could hear that it was on the front or rear, or you could sort of more make out where the enemy was running. So the gaming mode in this device actually does work. And now for my conclusion. Over here in the Netherlands, this card is being sold for 230 euros, making it budget-wise a high-end sound card. But is it worth that kind of money? Well, in my opinion, definitely not. I mean, the sound was okay, the 3D mode or surround mode was okay, but that's nowhere near enough to warrant such a high price. Also, you don't get a driver interface, and it's a real hassle just to change from 2.0 HD mode to surround sound. Now, not that you want to change it that much, but I think just a little driver interface, I mean, it's already there. It works with the GSX1000, but still, there is no driver interface. That would have solved a lot of issues. Now, both the GSX1000 and the GSX1000 use this rendering engine to create this surround sound mode. Now, if it's for a sound card that's say 80 euros like the GSX1000 is, I'd say okay, that's fair enough. I mean, it does work, and I must say it works better in the GSX1000 than it does in the 300. But the difference in pricing is so huge that still, it doesn't warrant that kind of a price. So what makes it that this product is worth 230 euros, at least according to Sennheiser? Well, there are only two things that I can come up with, and the first thing is the design of the device itself. I mean, it's aesthetically pleasing. When you move your hand over it, it will start to light up, and the volume knobs makes it feel like a real quality product. The second thing is the surround mode. As I said before, it is one of those devices that I can really think it does work. But will it warrant a price of 230 euros? Well, no, absolutely not. If I must give it a price, I'd say about 90 to 110 euros. So if that's the price you can get it second hand, I would definitely go for it. But will I recommend it for this price? Absolutely not. So, with this ending, I would like to thank you for making it all the way to the end of this video. And I would like to see you in the next one. See you then, bye bye!